Good afternoon, guys. Aaron Dorr here with Iowa Gun Owners. And as you guys know, the radical gun control lobby is always trying to attack our gun rights in a number of areas. They want to ban the AR-15. They want to do away with magazines over 10 rounds capacity. They want to pass red flags laws, and on it goes. But the number one issue that they keep coming back to time and time again is their desire to pass universal background checks. They're sold to you and I as some kind of a magical, a miracle cure to stop violent crime. If we only had universal background checks, and things would be so much better, and the sky would always be blue, and we'd stop every criminal who was hell-bent on carrying out a murder or a mass murder, as the case may be. The truth is almost the exact opposite. And the purpose of this video is to make sure you have the ammunition you need to fight back with when you're talking to your lawmaker at the state capitol, or to your brother-in-law, as the case may be, or to a Bloomberg-funded activist at a local candidates forum who is trying to get you to believe that you and I, as gun owners, have to give up and surrender the territory, give the ground up when it comes to background checks. The truth is, background checks don't work. That's point number one. And we're going to prove that to you in this following report that we have compiled, and it's going to be on our website if it's not there already, of a following top dozen or so cases where background checks did not stop mass shootings. Now realize, we're only talking about mass shootings in this video. We're not discussing the hundreds and probably thousands of shootings that take place every year in this country by somebody who went through a background check and quote unquote only killed one or two. Again, sarcasm and quotes intended. They only killed one or two people. Those cases are too voluminous to put in this report. We focused only rather on cases, the high profile cases, to show us and to show you guys just how ridiculous it is to assume that background checks are going to stop anything. Consider the following cases. February 14, 2018, the Parkland, Florida shooting where 17-year-old Nicholas Cruz killed 17 people. This was an example where a background check didn't do anything because this kid couldn't even go through a background check. He couldn't buy a firearm as he was 17 years of age. That is an example where a background check just won't stop a criminal. And that is most often the case because they most often don't even go through a background check in the first place. They can buy their guns somewhere else. They can steal them. They can rob somebody and grab them. But there's much more examples where they do go through a background check and aren't stopped. Consider case number 2. November 5, 2017, the Sutherland Springs, Texas Baptist church shooting. Major international story at the time. 26 people dead. 26 people dead by a shooter who legally, a criminal who legally purchased his firearm before carrying out this mass attack and killed 26 people in Texas. October 1st, 2017, Las Vegas, Nevada, Stephen Paddock killed 58 people, wounded almost 1,000, and he had gone through numerous background checks. Didn't stop him at all. June 12, 2016, the Orlando, Florida nightclub shooting. Omar Mateen, a self-avowed Islamic terrorist sympathizer who was motivated strictly by his love for ISIS, attacked the nightclub, again, June 12, 2016, killed 49 people after he went through a background check to buy his firearms, after he got a shall issue concealed carry permit, after he passed another check to become an armed security guard, and after he waited the mandatory 3 days before he could pick up his firearms. All of those checks failed to stop him. He was committed, and he killed 49 people in this shooting after passing a background check. December 2, 2015, San Bernardino, California, another terrorist-motivated shooting. This time it was a husband and wife terror team who killed 14 people. In this case, the husband went through a background check, legally purchased the firearms, and then carried out this dreadful mass attack. Didn't stop anybody. Roseburg, Oregon, October 1, 2015, the community college there in Roseburg was attacked by a student who went through a background check before killing 9 people. June 17, 2015, a internationally known story. Dylan Roof attacked the church in Charleston, South Carolina, killed 9 people. did so after having not been stopped by a background check. April 2, 2014, the Fort Hood shooting, the second one, mind you, involved an individual who was not stopped by a background check. September 16, 2013, the Washington Navy Yard shooting. 12 people died, 12 people dead, and many more wounded after the shooter passed a background check and bought a Remington 870 shotgun. You seeing a pattern here? That doesn't stop anybody. This is ridiculous. August 5, 2012, Oak Creek, Wisconsin. At a church in Wisconsin, 6 people gunned down by a man who attacked the church because he hated their religion after he passed a background check. July 20, 2012, Aurora, Colorado. The movie theater shooting with the shooter whose last name was Holmes killed 12 people, wounded almost 65 more after he passed a background check. January 8, 2011, the Tucson, Arizona shooting that wounded former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, shot her in the head and killed 6 other people. That shooter went through a background check. And finally, November 5, 2009, the first Fort Hood shooting, which killed 14 people, involved a major in the U.S. Army who passed a background check and obviously probably numerous clearances to become to reach the rank of major in the U.S. Army. All of these shootings involve shooters who passed a background check and were not stopped, with the exception of Nicholas Cruz from Parkland, Florida, who simply bypassed the system and carried out his mass attack. All of them. 235 people dead. Probably over 1,000, give or take, wounded by gunfire in these shootings. 1,000 people wounded, 235 people dead. But you're going to be told by your local anti-gun lawmaker or weak-kneed Republican lawmaker who was trying to find a way to support this, you're going to be told that background checks are a great way to stop crime. This is preposterous. You know it and I know it. The article on our website has links for every single one of these cases. Don't take our word for it. Hit the links. Every one of them, they're backgrounded, pardon my play on words there, they're backgrounded on our website with independent media sources to show you that these guys and gals passed a background check. It doesn't stop violent crime. So that's issue number 1. So rather than feel some sort of an emotional responsibility that you and I have to be guilty of something or feel guilty of something after a mass shooting, realize that it's these background check processes that give people a false sense of security. They simply don't stop violent crime. So you may ask yourself, well, then what are they pushing them so hard for? If they don't stop violent crime, then what's the purpose? This is the question to be asking, because the reality is you can't have a background check, a universal background check system without having a universal registry of gun owners. Because every time you hit that name on a NICS check, that goes into a database. And I presume that we all know and agree by now that anybody who tells you they're not tracking that database is simply lying to us. So it creates the largest database of gun owners in American history. And we all know from reading any kind of a history book what happens when gun owners and guns are added to a government registry. Eventually, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually that will come back and be used against us. We all know it. Read a history book if you don't agree with that. So it doesn't stop crime. And it does not. What it does, it creates a huge database of gun owners, but it does something else too, and that is to make felons out of well-intentioned, law-abiding gun owners currently here in Iowa. Because realize what this means in practicality, what it means in implementation. Because what you're going to have to do then is a grandfather who lives up in Sioux County, Iowa, who wants to give his grandson a family heirloom firearm would have to run Johnny, let's say, through a government check before he could do that. And if Grandpa doesn't know that, or Grandpa doesn't think he should have to do that, and that gets found out, Grandpa is now facing a felony charge. The first gun I ever owned, for example, was a .410 single shot, a shotgun that my grandfather gave me, and he lived and still lives in Sioux County, Iowa. So the example I gave is very personal. And if this law had been passed in Iowa at that time, he would be a felon because he had not first run my name and that firearm through a check. Can you believe that? How asinine that would be. For example, if you wanted to give your 21-year-old daughter who had moved out of your home, she had her own apartment in Waterloo, for example, and you were concerned because the crime rates in Waterloo are not exactly inspiring, and you wanted to give her a Glock 26 to have next to her bed or to have in her purse with a permit, for example, that would be a felony offense if you don't first go through the background check. So if you give your own daughter a firearm, that would be a felony offense. I mean, if you so much as loaned your friend a shotgun on pheasant opener in late October every year, if you loan him a shotgun for opener because he's one of those guys, and we all have friends like that, whose gun is not working or he can't find his shotgun because he gave it to his brother to use or whatever, you loan him a shotgun, that would be a transfer, and that would require a NICS check. And if you don't do that, then you would then be facing a felony charge. So the implementation of this would make convicted felons out of Iowans who are currently legally allowed to keep and bear arms. You would lose your gun rights for a lifetime. You lose your gun rights for a lifetime. And the fourth thing it does, the first one being it doesn't stop crime. The second one being it creates a massive database of gun owners. Third, it makes criminals out of all kinds of currently law-abiding gun owners. The fourth thing it does, the final thing it does, is it sets the stage for more gun control. Because if we give in on this, if we surrender on this, if we let them pass this without fighting this tooth and nail, it tells the gun grabbers, you know what? These people are defeated. They're on the ropes. They're given in. They're beat down. Now's our time to go for more and more and more, whether it's red flags, whether it's AR-15 bans, whether it's a magazine ban, repeal of shall issue, repeal of stand your ground law, whatever it is. You and I will be encouraging them if we don't fight this effort right here with everything we have. So again, in closing, just realize that you're being lied to. We are being lied to by Bloomberg-funded mouthpieces who run bullcrap studies and pull bullcrap reports, and they try to spin the numbers in their narrative. These numbers are legit. These numbers reflect real people who died because criminals went through a background check, weren't stopped at all, and carried out mass attacks. These numbers are real. These stories are real. These links are real. You can validate that yourself. Their goal here, their public goal, is very simple. They want you on a database. They want to have your firearms in a database because they know that someday, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday they're going to use that database to try to come and take your firearms or those of your son or your granddaughter or as the case may be. So we have to draw a line in the sand right now and say absolutely not on background checks. Guys, help us out. First of all, share this video. A lot of gun guys, a lot of gun gals might not know these facts. It might be waffling on whether or not they should support a legislation to pass universal background checks. So share the video, number one. And number two, get your friends involved in this fight. If you're not a member yet or your friends aren't a member yet of Iowa Gun Owners, go to our website, www.iowagunowners.org, and get signed up today. This fight is raging right now, and we need your help. Thank you.